if I don't think you can help my situation, I'm not being vulnerable to you.
Oh no, 100.
And more time, I'll be honest, when it comes to guys in situations, most of the problems men might have is probably money. And I'm not going to confide with you as my girl if I don't think you can give me 10 bags.
No, but it's not.
I'm going to read out some stats to you, okay? And I want to see your take on this. So according to the Central Statistics Office, okay, there were 449 people who died by suicide, okay? 359 of them were male, which is 80%, and 90 were female, which is 20%, okay? In regards to the amount of people who are homeless, apparently 63.6% of them were male, and 36.4% of them were female. When it comes to drug misuse, okay, last year, apparently 2,178 of them were males and 949 of them were female. When it comes to sentences and prison time, men receive longer sentences 90% of the time. And last but not least, when it comes to sort of secure units, forensic hospitals, where mental health patients are, once again, men are disproportionately found in those situations. And I say to you, when you look at male suicide, and then if these stats are correct, okay, it's men are 80% more likely to die from suicide than women are. Yeah. And I'll say to you, why do you think that is? We often say that it's a man's world, and I say, is it really? And I ask from your perspective, when you hear those sort of numbers, someone who's a mental health coach, what do you say to men? Okay, what do you say to them? If you know, is it a case of that men just need to talk amongst their friends? Is that all it is? Is that we just don't share our problems, or is it just easier for women?
I wouldn't say it's just easier, or I wouldn't just give any generic advice. But the one thing I would say with that just talk thing, like when I was like in secondary school and stuff, I was just talking, but nothing was changing. Like they weren't.
As a woman.
Yeah.
Okay. As in girl to girls, basically.
Like I'll talk to my friends. My friends knew that. My friends knew that like I didn't like staying at my dad's. There was a counsellor at school as well. She just used to tell me, wait until you're 18, you can leave the house, and things that I already knew. But I needed practical things that I could use. So that's where I was just like, yeah, the talking is not really doing much. I'm letting it out, but I'm still having anxiety attacks. I'm still stressed. I'm still having headaches. I'm still overthinking. So like nothing's really changing. And then when it comes to talking, if you don't talk to the right person, it's going to make your situation even worse. Because the wrong person can either make you more anxious or actually go down a wrong path. I would say get the help that you need from someone that can actually give you the help. But
why do you think men feel isolated? So you're 25, as you said, for instance, we showed earlier that there are more 20-year-olds who are suffering from mental health when it comes to work than 40-year-olds. And I'm saying, as a guy, you know, I think we often think that we're told that men are strong. Yeah. And we often have this idea that, you know, just kind of suck it up and shut up. You know, they say that boys don't cry. Yeah. You know, you've got a 2-year-old. You know, my thing is not to move the conversation to this whole toxic masculinity thing, but how much of a soft guy can I be? And I don't know, how soft do you want men? How soft should men be? How emotionally available should I be to you?
The thing is, people think that being emotionally intelligent means being emotional. And I was watching this man one time, and then when they asked him what a man means, or what it means to be within your masculinity, he spoke about being able to be a man and a leader means being able to tap into your masculine energy and tap into your feminine energy when needed. Because as men and women, we're supposed to work together. You can't work with a woman if you don't know how to communicate in a language that she understands. And if you can't understand her, you can't communicate and relay things to her in a way that is actually going to create progress. So it's being able to actually understand yourself deeply, to understand how to communicate and articulate your emotions, and also how to regulate yourself. So most of the time with men, what we're seeing is they're suppressing their emotions because they've been taught that you're going to be seen as weak or a wimp when you actually regulate your emotions.
Yeah, sometimes. Call you sassy.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's when like there's certain people that are gonna call men sassy because of them things, is not that you're sassy. You just see that that's how that person thinks. And it does not reflect me. If I look at myself and I look at my other points of view, like the other parts of my life, to see I'm a well-structured person. So I think it comes back to self-confidence as well. Because there's certain things that people can say about me. If I know it's not true, that one is your own. I'm not going to take it on. And I'll look at the people around me whose opinions I value. If it's not something that I need to improve, I'm going to keep on going about my day.
Well, why would you suggest, or what would you think the reason is though that men are clearly killing themselves more than women? Why would, like, there's clearly a disparity. Not that I want women to do more than men, but sometimes you hear this conversation like, oh, what? But 80-20 or even 70-30 is a huge gap.
Yeah.
It's not like it's 55-45. It's wide. What do you think? You're saying that men just need to find the right people to talk to?
I'm not saying that. I think it's because it's
Because I've got as far as
stigmatized.
saying no one cares.
Facts.
I don't believe that.
Facts.
It's
I don't think no one cares
stigmatized.
about men.
I get
It's
tattooed.
stigmatized.
I get tattooed on my chest.
The thing is, whatever you think is going to be your reality, and it's stigmatized when men ask for help. Sometimes even women, it's like that thing of, like the strong black woman thing, like I'm trying to do everything myself.
I got something for you. Like, you see how he said facts. Literally right now, someone sent me a meme here and said, if my man was broke, I wouldn't choose him because he wouldn't have chosen me if I was ugly. Have a blessed day.
But is that the type?
A woman sent me that.
Okay,
I just
wait.
looked at it and laughed. I just looked at it and laughed.
But is that the thing is, when we're looking at these things, the people that are saying that, is that the type of woman you want anyway? So that's when it comes to seeing whose opinions are you actually taking heart to heart. Because is that the type of person you want anyway? Like when we look at certain people that are giving advice and you see how they move with other people, are you trying to be like them? And that's when I think sometimes it comes to sifting through who you take advice from and how they're living their life and how they view things as well.
Okay, do you consider me to be masculine?
I'll say yes.
Why?
I'll say I've seen some of your content as well, the way you process things as well. And another reason I'll say is because you're fit, like physically fit as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the flip question is this. For every positive, I think there are negative traits. What would you say are the negative traits that you think I embody? Because some could argue and say I might be masculine. Some might say, oh, he's a man, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that what comes with being that has very negative traits.
Yeah.
Very negative.
You're toxic masculine. I think you've gone too far.
I would go as far as saying that I've never physically hit a woman.
Yeah.
Okay, I like to think that I don't intentionally emotionally damage women. But I would say that I'm not the easiest person to deal with. And I think I'm not very agreeable. Which is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And I think what we're trying to create in trying to get this balance with men, I don't know whether or not it's.
Do you think there is one, a balance?
Well, I think the problem I find is that the same qualities that you might want in a man to be a leader, someone who has a backbone. My question is, all those things that you like in the positive, which you consider to be masculine, when you say tune into your feminine, what does that tune into the feminine look like?
Yeah.
So I'm asking you, what does that look like in your head when you say you want a man to be...
Also, a man to tune into his feminine.
Yeah, what does that look like to you?
So tune into like how they nurture, because men nurture as well.
Okay.
So there's this thing where I've forgotten the thing, but people always talk about women nurturing, but men nurture. When you see a lot of fatherless guys talk about men that they look up to, they talk about men that listen to them, they talk about men that never gave up on them, they talk about men that pushed them, and men that actually believed in them. That is nurturing, but it might be more masculine by like, okay, you know what, you can do it. I would say tough love, but tough love without hurting them type of thing. So you can do that without actually emasculating yourself.
But I haven't heard anything feminine yet, have you? What she said.
But that is a type, so it's a feminine nurturing, so you're nurturing the boys, but then it's not how everyone else might see nurturing. So when we talk about nurturing, we think of kids being babies.
Is it wrong to suggest that when I hear the word feminine I think soft?
A lot of people
is that my
I think in a man's world to be called feminine is negative. You don't like if I called you feminine, it's not nice.
Okay, think of a. Okay, is it fair to say that when we talk about feminine energy, we look at like two men.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever watched Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
So you remember Uncle Phil? Mm-hmm. Did you ever watch My Wife and Kids?
Yeah.
So you remember, is it Kyle? What's his name in it? No, what's Kyle's dad's name?
Michael.
Michael, yeah.
Now, you both go as far as saying they're probably both great men, or both good dads, but you say they have two different styles.
Yeah.
Is what we're considering feminine to be maybe the style of Michael, My Wife and Kids, and maybe Phil is just very masculine? Or would you say... I'm trying to figure, when you say feminine energy, I'm trying to think of a man in the public eye who you would say has feminine energy and has a balance.
Say, when I talk about balancing within the feminine energy, it's like, okay, when a man's wife gives birth, and then maybe they might have a toddler as well, but he's taking on a bit more. Some people might class that as feminine, but it's a thing of
it's not surprising.
It's tapping into your feminine. It might be classed as more feminine side because you're doing the nurturing now. You're doing the caring. You're putting aside the pride, because there's certain man that might think, oh, I'm a man, I'm not supposed to be doing that. But you're putting aside the pride and you're not thinking that you're doing something crazy by taking care of your wife. So it's when those natural things become part of you, but some people might just class that as, oh, this is all a woman is supposed to do. But you take on both sides of it.
A good example could probably be Taser and the way he obviously deals with his daughter and whatnot. He's very present, and like some of the things that you could say like he does, obviously he doesn't put everything on social media and whatnot, but you could say some of the things that he does do might be perceived as quote unquote not his role. And I think he's spoken about that before, where like stuff like, I think he mentioned about like bath time, and like some fathers don't do bath time because that's a woman's role. He was quite happy to do it and whatnot.
But I think, isn't that just, I don't know if that's part of being feminine, that's just you being an idiot. If you think that you can't,
you'd be surprised. Brother, you'd be
mad to think that, oh, you can't.
I'm not
jumping in there. I can't bath my daughter. Oh, what?
No, you'd be surprised.
I can't play duck in
Do you know what the thing is? When I think the reason why you're like going back is like how we think as femininity within social media is being fruity, or like.
I think. Okay, I'll tell you what it is to me. What I think it is, and I could be wrong. I see it as when someone says you want a man to be in tune with his feminine side. I think it's someone who you want to be able to bend. Someone who probably wavers, someone who doesn't have, who's not as stubborn. Because I think of the traits of a typical guy who's you consider a man or a leader, and I think it's someone who's probably quite disagreeable, someone who's resilient, someone who probably has a stubborn trait, meaning that I'm going to get that job, I'm going to get that thing, and I'm getting it.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is those traits sometimes don't bend when it comes to dealing with women.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes, I think I just don't understand that feminine thing. Because what's the flip side to it? What is toxic femininity? From a mental health perspective, have you seen women who you would say are too masculine?
Oh gosh.
And what would you say is, because we don't have a problem with masculine women.
Are you sure?
Personality wise.
Are you sure?
No.
I think we do.
What, as in like a female boss?
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with that?
There's a
Not
problem
a female
with that.
boss, but obviously within the business world.
Describe a masculine woman.
A masculine woman, someone that is hyper independent, doesn't ask for help, and this comes under being let down so many times that you don't want to depend on someone. Yeah. So it's like mostly behind that hyper independence or thinking that you can do everything yourself. And even on the flip side, for men, that doesn't work for them as well, because we always, no matter how much we might be the only person that has us, we still need other people to help us as well.
Do you think you picked up those habits you just described?
The hyper independence. Yeah. I'll say I definitely did. Because of the complexity with my childhood, I'm able to shift within it. So the thing is, let's say survival mode. You were talking about survival mode earlier. Survival mode is not bad, because it's there to get you through a season. But it's only bad when you're still living within it in a season where you're past it. So even for me, after I had my son, I was still living within it. But at that part, I was safe. I was in a calmer environment. I didn't need it. So when I started to do the little things, I started to come out of survival mode and actually start living. So even for me, this year, one of my main things was about building community, having more like meaningful relationships with people around me. It's a bit of a catch-22 because sometimes for me as well, I can't just talk to anybody. I like people I can learn from, that type of thing as well. So it has been something that I've been more intentional about, and I have met people that I have been able to build those like relationships and friendships with as well.
Yeah.
So it all comes together as when you don't take it as a personality trait and actually see, there's a problem here, you can start to make the change. Because a lot of the time when it comes to hyper independence, it doesn't just affect you, it affects other people. You become snappier and you don't actually communicate your need. Then you start jumping to conclusions when people don't.
Because I think, do we see? Okay, let me talk to you directly. Do you see a man who's hyper independent as unattractive, or do you see that as toxic? A guy who's hyper independent.
I would say.
Because I'm hyper independent.
Yeah.
So would you consider then that I'm toxic then?
I would say it is a toxic trait, but it's something that you can work on.
But I don't think we see it as much as a negative thing. I don't think we see it as negative in a man as much as we see it in a woman.
It is, because you can't accept like reciprocation. So if you was to do something for a lady you was with or whatnot, and she wanted to reciprocate, it'll be difficult for you to.
I don't like
there we
anyone
go,
doing
right?
anything.
But that's selfish, because you give but don't allow the person to love you back, and that could be a problem.
We all suffer from it.
I'll tell you what it is for me though, is that I'll tell you why it is for me. Maybe I need to get over the fact that when I've done things for people, especially women in the past, it's never been something they've done off being genuine. It's always been thrown in my back like, I did this for you, I did that for you.
Yeah.
So I just don't want you to do anything for me.
Yeah.
But I think looking at a hyper independent woman, do you know what's funny? I think it's probably only men who would have a problem with that.
What do you mean don't have?
Okay, I think for a lot of men, I think a hyper independent woman is someone who they can't throw their weight around. Because I think sometimes we like to be able to have the power and control over women.
Okay.
And when they're hyper independent, we can't do that because they're not dependent on you. So you can run amok. Whereas when a woman has and doesn't need you in that sense, you almost think, well, like, so.
I think
the
to
women
a degree.
that have, but they're not hyper independent, but they know how to set boundaries and a clear standard that this is my standard. If you don't meet it, I'm removing myself. So instead of just assuming that people say that, we say that common sense is not common to common people, but the thing is, my common sense is based off my past experiences and how I was brought up, and someone else's is different. So now you're coming together, you need to communicate your expectation. Once that expectation is not being regarded or is being crossed, then you remove yourself from the situation. Because a lot of the time we like to say that, people are doing this to me, that to me, but what are you allowing? So instead of just always expecting people to be at a certain standard, communicate it. When the communication is not being regarded, remove yourself. Instead of getting upset when people don't do things you expect them to do without actually telling them what you want them to do.
When you okay, I think I think you teach people how to treat you, and that's by what you accept.
Yeah.
I think that's a given. But I just think when you talk about, I'm trying to think of the traits that we don't. What traits can you think of that can be hyper whatever that is in a woman and a man that we both like to see in both? Because we say that that hyper independency is bad for a man and woman, and we say that if a man's hyper independent, it's negative.
I'll say the perseverance, the people that just push through everything no matter what. That is something that it is boosted up within women as well as men sometimes.
Could that be seen as stubborn? Someone who perseveres. I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah. I think when you couple the wrong traits together, it can create something that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you make the wrong concoction. Like if you add in like what you said about hyper perseverance and stubbornness. If you add in something like a lady who may have had suffering in her past, who may have be in survival mode, she might just be stuck on this is the way I'm going and you can't change me. And if you're not on this ship, then bye bye. That can be a problem. But on the other hand, if you've got a woman who you can say is in her feminine era, in soft life and stuff, being hyper persevering and stuff might make her more tolerant of you and stuff that you do, and more willing to persevere through relationship challenges that you guys may have. So it depends on how you mix it, and it depends on the openness of the person as well.
Yeah. When would you say protecting your mental health becomes negative?
Funny, you literally said something as well. When we talk about boundaries, and then people are like, okay, when this thing happens, I'm just cutting the person off. But you're not having conversations, and you're not also, like, sometimes some people are trying, but then they might take some more time to get, like, to fully grasp something or be able to do it. But as long as you see they're putting in the effort. Because I was working with someone the last time, and she was asking me, okay, So we're kind of talking about breaking the cycle of toxic relationships. So I gave her some qualities within like a man to consider, and then she was like, okay, so what should I look out for him to say, for me to know whether he's right or not? And I was like, you can't just look out for one thing. So like I can't tell you what to look out for, like based on your values and what is in alignment. If it's in alignment with that, then you can go ahead. If not, then you go your own way. Because sometimes we're looking for someone else to tell us what's right or what's wrong. Knowing what your standard is and how to uphold yourself to the standard as well when it comes to other people.
When would you say it becomes negative though? Is it possible to protect your mental health too much?
Yeah, when you're just cutting people off and when you're not given the space to actually communicate and have that discord, so you're inadvertently avoiding confrontation. Because it's like, I'm just protecting my peace, but confrontation needs to happen.
Even that's a real bad thing.
But then I think you develop, correct me if I'm right, it's like avoidant attachment.
Yeah, so you start to
hey, so I'm good at this stuff, you know.
I'll give you that. Because I think a lot of people avoid confrontation.
Yeah.
Because it just can't be bothered. And some people just avoid confrontation because I'm trying to think what that is.
You get too used to the
it's
silence.
Another style. So people pleasing is a way to avoid confrontation.
Yeah.
So I'll just agree with you so that we don't have to have a confrontation, because I feel like you might leave or you might not want to be friends with me because I've disagreed with you. And now what people are doing is that they're saying they're protecting their peace, but they're just doing that by not actually speaking up for themselves or having those uncomfortable conversations. So you're just writing someone off without actually trying to resolve it. So you're not trying to fix the problem. You're just running away from it in another way.
So then something with yourself. So what I mentioned, but you get too used to the silence. So with yourself now, you're an independent man. You're hyper independent. Like any person that comes into your life is gonna be noise, regardless of whether they're super positive or super negative. It's gonna be some sort of discomfort. So if your tolerance is so low to the point where you're throwing out everyone, you're not gonna.
Yeah, my tolerance is very low.
There we go. So you get too used to the silence.
But I think a lot of it has come from the stress and chaos of outside of relationships with people, whether it's man, woman, mum. I'm very irritable. Like. Yeah, I don't have much brain space for things. That's because my brain is filled up with so much rubbish right now. So that's where my negative part comes in, is where the moment something doesn't seem right or something seems like it's challenging me or bothering me, I'm just like, you know what? Like, let me just...
But that's why I said there's different variants of people. So let's say, for example, now, let's say you sold all your business, for pure example. You might open up the brain capacity to have a proper relationship. But that's what I'm saying, where this version of Gabriel, maybe that's not possible. Maybe it's not feasible because it's too much. So at different stages of life, you've got tolerance to different things. So then I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to you making decisions on what is priority in your life. Is it progress in your career, or is it, do I want to settle down and have a family?
But then, sorry to cut you.
Go on.
It's also a thing where you have to be able to make that decision to be vulnerable, to be in a space where you might possibly be hurt.
Yeah.
Because
this is why he's toxic. This is why. I brought you here to, we need to fix.
No, because, okay, going back to the thing of receiving gifts.
Vulnerable.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Because there's always...
That's only to my boys. Impossible. To not a woman, impossible.
But you're going to get married to a woman if you want to get married.
One off man, I'm joking.
whoa, dog.
Vulnerable. But that's my thing, is that feminine side that women say they want.
Yeah.
Like, be vulnerable, open up to me, let me know, you can cry with me. You're bluffing. You are bluffing.
But that's love. That's love.
The only time a woman will see me cry is
love.
when a loved one passes away. Other than that, my woman will never see me cry.
Okay, so when you're frustrated, how do you let out your frustration?
I don't let my frustration. I either go to the gym, I binge on snacks or sugary stuff. Back in the day, it would be women.
Yeah.
So I would go into a place where I just link bare girls, and that would be my way of getting over whatever I'm going through, which is not good, because you're trying to get over something by having someone under you. It doesn't work. It don't work.
Yeah.
It don't work. So that's my toxic way of dealing with stress.
So those are your defense mechanisms and your coping mechanisms when it comes to you being stressed.
Typically snacking, typically going to the gym. But the worst thing is that when I'm stressed, sometimes I avoid the gym, which is weird. But yeah, snacking, gym, it used to be women. Like, it used to be really bad. Like, I'd be in a stressed situation and it'll be one Monday. Just imagine they were just all Ghanaian girls. You know how Ghanaians have different names. So just Afua, Banana, Nana, Amma, whatever they call themselves. Just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like that old school 80s song. That's literally me. But I'm happy that I've moved away from that now.
Yeah.
But I think it's.
So you've not actually addressed the problem. You just found a way
I kind of
to
mask it because sometimes the problems that I have, sometimes I think a lot of the problems I have now as an adult are self-inflicted.
But do you know where they stem from?
I think I procrastinate a lot, which is not good. I don't like letting people down.
Yeah.
So therefore, sometimes I do more than I should, which I slow down on that a lot. Because now I'm very, you know, which is not good though. And I think where I'm in stress and chaos a lot, I'm very irritable.
Yeah.
To the gang.
I'm very irritable because my mentality is no one's coming to save me, and I only got time for people who I think can save me.
Yeah.
If I don't think you can help my situation, I'm not being vulnerable to you.
Oh no, 100.
And more time, I'll be honest. When it comes to guys in situations, most of the problems men might have is probably money, and I'm not going to confide with you as my girl if I don't think you can give me 10 bags.
No, but it's not about her being
Oh, babes, I'm really in a tough time. What's up? Oh, this thing going wrong. I need about 10 grand. Oh.
But it's not about her being able to give that money.
Every day, babe.
Wait.
Are you okay, babe?
Wait. She's gonna say, oh, babe, I think we should book a holiday to Bali.
That might help you. There's no money for it. You're sending me Skyscanner links. And I think that's just my thing is that, like, if I've got a problem with something, either physically, I might go to a physio and ask for the help.
Yeah.
If I've got a problem financially, I might go to one of my friends who can help me. If I've got a problem emotionally, I might go to my sister who can help me.
Yeah.
If I don't feel you, as my girl, can help me with this situation, why am I burdening you?
So emotionally, why don't you go to your girl instead of your sister?
It depends what it is.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what it is, yeah? I need, and this sounds really bad, I need my woman to see me as the captain and to see me as this pillar. For me to then come to you and start bawling about something, I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But asking for help doesn't always mean bawling.
No, sometimes I'm, just because, I think this is the thing about emotion.
Yeah.
I might punch a wall. That's equivalent of someone crying.
Yeah.
It's just an outburst and an outlet. But we think, to me, that's feminine. Like, just
Not
because,
punching a wall.
even punching, someone might see that as being masculine. If I see someone throw a tantrum,
Yeah.
like for instance, when I see someone who's got into road rage and they just flip straight away, I know it sounds bad, but that to me is a feminine trait.
Yeah. So
Someone who just acts on impulse.
No, but the thing is,
And that's what-
sometimes that's your way to regulate. So
That's a bad regulation for me.
That's a bad
no,
regulation.
I don't mean.
Someone cuts you off, you get a car. Roar! That's
No,
feminine.
I don't
That's
mean
that's
that.
not masculine to me.
I don't mean that. I mean sometimes letting out your frustration by maybe shouting, not shouting at someone, but like just shouting into the air, like going into a room by yourself and just doing that. Because what it does is sometimes it like kind of turns on your parasympathetic nervous system, which helps you calm down. Or sometimes it's like deep pressure within, so progressive muscle relaxation, doing that from like top to bottom helps as well. Sometimes pushing into something or like maybe punching, squeezing a stress ball, maybe punching a punching bag. So I'm not saying the erratic one is a good way of self-regulation, but when you do it in a controlled way, is a way to regulate yourself to get that stress out. So when you kind of have those things to help redirect that energy, it helps you not take it out on other people, but put it into a different like space. But then also is a thing where when you're able to do that, you're able to kind of have a release. Because sometimes the things when you cry, you just need the emotional release. After it's like, okay, you know what? I'm starting to feel calm now. And being able to do that, if you have like a partner, you're probably going to be in alignment with like life goals and that type of thing. Yeah, so she needs to be able to add to that. So
I'm not going to open up to her though. It's a lie.
It's a scam.
Then the thing is, there's not going to be a clear communication.
But when you say vulnerable to me is bearing all. Like you like if I'm upset about something, you ask me how my day is. More time when, well, obviously I guess with friends, more time when someone says, "How's your day been? How are you?" I don't lie anymore. And even to strangers, I say, not really feeling well, not really feeling good. They're like, oh.
Yeah, they don't know what to say because it's not the norm. It's not the norm.
So and I say to people, so why did you ask?
Yeah.
No, if someone genuinely asks you, how are you?
But they're not asking you to ask you. They're asking you because that's like the.
Well, you don't care to ask me.
Just the whole conversation.
Then think of another opening line. Think of something else.
Nah, the world don't work like that, bro.
Because you don't care. And if I tell you my problem, you're going to help. So what am I going to open up to you?
No, I get it. But something like that is a problem that a lot of people who have like autism and stuff have. Because it's a social cue and a social construct that if you go to a shop, hello, how are you? How's your day? They don't care. And like people with like autism and things, they kind of see. Yeah.
I tell shopkeepers when I go, oh, how are you? Not fine today. Like, oh.
They didn't want to know that. They're just asking for the sake of. It's all a.
Like a greeting.
Yeah, there's a lot of facade.
No, I think everyone should just be honest when people ask that question. Not saying some people are not alright.
Yeah.
Just be honest. How's your day been today? I've kind of fucked. I'm just out of curiosity. So, do you deal with people of all ages? Is there a specific demographic? Is it literally just women you deal with? Is it men you deal with? Is it someone within a certain age? And also, where can people find you? Is it like a social media site? Is there a website? Let people know where they can find you.
I'd say the best way would be Instagram. Just shoot me a DM or my email's in there as well. And it depends on what you're dealing with. So I normally do like a discovery call to see how best I can help as well. So men, women, and I can work with, some people have reached out to me to help with their kids, but I try to work with the parent and the kid as well. Okay. Because I can't help the child if I'm not helping you as well. So on Instagram, TikTok is DANIE __COLLE.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could just say it. What is it, Danielle?
Oh, Danny _ Cole.
Okay, Danielle _
Cole.
And how do you spell that?
COLLE.
I'll put it in the description.
Oh, it's your accent, sorry.
Yeah.
Sound like you're from Birmingham. Call 0121.
I hope you like this episode.
It's not bad.
If you hit 2,000 likes, Wes is going to put his face in the ice bucket and water. I guarantee you. So 2,000 likes on the next video. Wes will put his face in the ice bucket and water. Peace.